Very good morning to all of you. Welcome to today's news analysis. We are doing the Indian Express Papers Chandigarh edition. Before starting with the news, let me tell you some topics that we are covering today. So, one is Ayushman Bharat. So, a very important announcement was made. So, we can look from the point of view of healthcare sector as well. Right, so that can be done. Besides, there was a news concerning cyber crimes. So yesterday also we covered it. So today I'll just give you a brief outlook about this topic. Then there is a new semiconductor policy under wraps. So brief mention of that was there, and the features of the probable policy are mentioned over here. So we'll look at that. Besides, in the opinion section, there was a reference of 3E model of growth. So we'll see what that is. Then we also hear about the countervailing duties. So countervailing duty, anti-dumping duty, what is the difference? Which agency is responsible for that? So that we are going to see. Plus, yes, there was a very important editorial on skill gap in the country. And skill gap is something that has been regularly being asked in the GS3 paper of the UPSC. Okay, so let's cover the first topic, that is Ayushman Bharat. So there is an expansion of this scheme, Ayushman Bharat, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So Ayushman Bharat, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So what expansion has been done? So first of all, this Jan Arogya Yojana is a health insurance scheme. That is, insurance cover is provided to eligible households. This is based on the criteria of income levels. So briefly, income levels are mentioned over here. So this is the criteria. So those who are below a certain threshold income wise, so they are eligible, and that household gets rupees 5 lakh of annual coverage. So that is the benefit of this scheme. The idea is that hospitalization can severely impoverish families. So in secondary and tertiary care, when hospitalization takes place, Ayushman Bharat kicks in and protects those households. Right? So that is the concept. Okay. And that it has been able to, it comprises the bottom 40% of the population income wise. So this was there, it was income wise eligibility. Now, what is the scheme is saying is the expansion that has been done is that people above the age of 70 years, irrespective of their income levels, they will be getting the benefit of Ayushman Bharat. That is a good thing. The aging population, they are more vulnerable. The source of earning is not there. So putting them under the scheme is a welcome step. Okay. Now, those of who were already under certain coverage, for example, the ECHS or the CGHS, so they can get Ayushman Bharat if they have to switch or they have to forego these benefits in that case. Okay, so that was it. Now, more about this Ayushman Bharat and what ideas we can get. So one thing I want to say is that Ayushman Bharat is not just one scheme, it's an umbrella scheme. Umbrella means a lot of other schemes are part of it. For instance, we have this Jan Arogya Yojana. Then we have another scheme with regards to infrastructure, health infra. So Bharat Health Infra, Jan Arogya Bharat Health Infra. Then there is for primary care. So earlier focused on secondary and tertiary, then expansion was made, and this is Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centers. So these are created under the Ayushman Bharat, which is basically primary healthcare centers. Then Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission. Right, so number of things are there under this thing. So overall, all health related issues are under this flagship or umbrella name of Ayushman Bharat. So that's one thing that I wanted to share. Besides this, of course, you should know about the features of the schemes. specifically for prelims. This can be important. Now, let us look at it from the healthcare perspective. Ayushman Bharat, how has it helped the households, especially from the point of view of healthcare coverage? Then, Ayushman Bharat is an assurance-based scheme, assurance-based healthcare scheme. That is, you are assured of certain benefits. Should this not be a rights-based approach where there is a legal obligation on the government that this healthcare has to be provided and the court can step in? National health policy had advocated such a scheme, that health should be made a fundamental right. So these are the things that we can look at when we are looking at the healthcare sector. I have very exhaustive notes on the healthcare sector that I have prepared, right? So you can see this was with Ayushman Bharat. Then this is overall with regards to the healthcare sector. So that way you can prepare. Then what are the opportunities, challenges, everything you can look at it. Let's move forward. Okay. Same thing, we're talking about the India-Bangladesh relationship. So Muhammad Yunus, he says, Bangladesh wants good ties with India. Should be on basis of fairness and equality. I somewhere feel when these statements are coming, there is a strain of relationship between Bangladesh and India. And I'll tell you one more thing. Sheikh Hasina, the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, she got Muhammad Yunus arrested. He wanted intervention of India, which India did not do, obviously. Now he's in power, right? And these things are sort of indicative of strain in India-Bangladesh relationship. Okay. Now, besides what he has said over here, he talks about restarting the SARC initiative. Now we have a news concerning the cyber frauds. Let me give you an indication of how questions can be asked on this topic. So this will come under the GS3 internal security science and tech, internal security if you have to look at the previous years. Okay. Now here also the types and natures of cyber crimes can be asked, have been asked actually. You should know, then besides you should know what are the trends in cybercrime, that is the increase in intensity of the cyber crimes. You will have to quote the NCRB data. Okay. And then of course you can say that no, so many people have enrolled into the digital services, then the banking services, so the vulnerability has increased. Okay, so trend. Then besides this, we have the cyber security policy 2013 that has also been asked in the prelims. Now most recently there is a national cyber security strategy which is under wraps. We are expecting that policy to come up. So these are certain things that we need to prepare from the topic of cyber crimes. So just scrolling. Political news basically. Now this is about the semiconductor policy which is coming up. So Prime Minister Modi gave a statement with regards to semiconductor. He said about semiconductor firms that you should come and invest in India. So that is one thing. Now with regards to this, we have an India semiconductor mission as well, right? So that we have, you can see the PIB also on the same. And he also says that we are upgrading the semiconductor policy. And this is where the IT minister steps in. So you see the highlighted part, it is about the IT minister talking about the policy. So he says the second phase of India, it's getting updated. Second phase of India's semiconductor manufacturing incentive policy. It will be finalized by the end of the year. So he says it will not just focus on subsidizing manufacturing. So first thing is subsidizing manufacturing, raw materials, chemicals, etc. So that would be done. Then the focus will also be on creating ecosystem. So ecosystem partners, which will include assembly, testing, marking, packaging, etc. Then, how raw materials and chemicals can be arranged. Presently, the dominance is that of the Chinese over here. We are excessively reliant on that. So, how can we indigenize this? So, these are some of the things that were covered in this article. And it says the budgetary outlay presently is at $10 billion. So this may increase to $15 billion. No commitment is made in this regard, but a statement, of course, is there. Okay, this is also important. Niti Aayog group pitches for new act to tackle public health crisis, COVID-like initiatives, COVID-like issues. Now we come to the editorial and opinion section. For the time being, I am ignoring this topic. Why Manipur is far away. We'll cover this some other day. Unfortunately, this event will be there in the news, so we'll take it up next time because I had other things also to take up today. So first is fill the skill gap. Obviously, in India, we have a shortage of skilled workforce, so that has to be filled up. Okay. Now, what is the context? Why this topic has been picked up? Previously, there was an article that workforce from India, there was a pact between India and Israel that labor would be exported to Israel, who would work as construction workers. There was a labor shortage over here, and especially after this Israel-Palestinian conflict, and the workers from Palestinian territory were banned. Okay, so labor goes over here. Israeli finds that this workforce is not adequately skilled. There is a skill mismatch that is there. So that was problematic. Okay, so this is one aspect. So the paper now says that one thing that we should do is we should have more of these pacts because it will allow us to export this surplus labor force, which will be good for the people. And the second thing is we should focus on addressing the skill gap. Now, as per the Global Skill Gap Report, now this can be important for your prelims as well as mains. So Global Skill Gap Report, this is prepared by National Skill Development Corporation. So it estimated that there is a severe labor shortage in the GCC countries, Gulf Cooperation Council, the Saudi countries basically. So there, plus the European Union, right? So the first aspect, that is having more labor pacts. So, and plus these countries are already there, so that we can benefit. Second is about the skill mismatch. So as per the labor force survey, which is released by the NSO, the workforce in the age group of 15 to 59, working population is this only. Only a small segment have received formal vocational training, that is 4.9%, or you can say 5%. So 5% is formally skilled. There may be people who are skilled, but they are not formally skilled. 5%, which is very, very low. So this aspect has to be taken care of. Now let me show you the data with regards to the skilled workforce. So me saying 5% is not good enough. I have to say that other countries have much more skilled population. Right, so 4.69 is formally skilled, while in other countries, China it is 24, comparable country. US it is 52, South Korea it is 96. Then it indicates that there is a severe problem. Now let me show you some questions on this. UPSC has been frequently asking. Look at this question number 6, 2016. Comment on the challenges of inclusive growth, which include careless and useless manpower. Useless over here means unskilled workforce. And it is the very same year, before that actually, the Skill India mission had come into being. Then I'll show you more questions on this. Success of Make in India depends on the success of Skill India program. Right. So you see, this question is repeatedly asked. It's a very important topic, GS3, growth and development from that point of view. Let's move to the next topic. This article is long, but we really don't have to focus that much. So these individuals have proposed an idea for India, and they say that India should adopt a 3E model. These 3Es are education, entrepreneurship, and employment. So they say that we have this number of startups that are coming up from time to time. Number of unicorns, largest number of unicorns coming up. I think 20 days we have one unicorn coming up according to DPIIT. Right, so that is there. So we have a lot of potential. Now they say that most of them are coming from higher educational institutions like IIT, etc. Now, these colleges, their focus is primarily on getting good placements. So many crores placement has been done, high packages and all those things imposed of it. They are proposing that we should focus on an education, a model of education which emphasizes on entrepreneurship, who are judged that how much entrepreneurs are being created from that particular institution. And when that is done, the employment potential within the country will obviously increase. So education, entrepreneurship, and employment. Then this, when rich states get richer. So then this is, I read the article, then I focused on this part. And why did I read this article? So it says, we see a disparity, we see more growth development in the southern and western India, which has always been the case. Right, southern and western has more growth potential. So the population from this Bimaru region, right, they tend to, where the population growth is higher, they tend to migrate to these areas. Okay, so plus they are saying, plus the author is saying that these states, since they are higher developed, so when the government comes up with schemes like production linked incentive scheme, manufacturing policy, etc., these states corner the benefits. So less allocation is being done to the Bimaru states. So plus what is happening is the northern states have certain cities like Delhi, Noida, etc. They are overburdened. Their infrastructure is creaking. So something needs to be done in that regard. That is what the author is primarily saying. So the government should reconsider its developmental policy. So that was the idea. Let's move to the economy section. Crude prices have really fallen, $71.6, 71.6, yes, from 90 to 71.6. Okay. Economy section. Hydro output surge, lower agri demand may ease power supply shortfall equation. Simple, simple, simple. What the news first says is that September month saw excessive energy demand. Unprecedented energy demand was there, but then there was good amount of rainfall, which provided for hydel electricity. And of course, agriculture also, which requires, which is dependent on tube wells, so they require power. So that also got compensated because of the rainfalls that have happened. That is what the author is saying. Now, what I find of concern is why in the month of September the power supply is increasing, and what are we doing with that regard? That is something that can be considered from a mains perspective. Chip maker NXP to invest $1 billion in India. Okay. Next is maybe important for your prelims. And maybe mains also. Anti-subsidy duty on steel pipe imports from China, Vietnam extended for 5 years. What are we reading? Anti-subsidy duty. Now, what I was thinking was we have these terms like countervailing duty as well as dumping duty. So what is the difference between the two? Right, so that was what I was thinking. Again, when I say anti-subsidy duty over here, it basically means China is giving greater number of subsidies to their industry as what India is giving. So the price over here is cheaper, and when it comes and of course when it comes to India, it's much cheaper, and therefore they are able to corner the market. So what India would do in this regard is India would try to increase the import duty, import tariff, and so that the prices are normalized. So anti-subsidy duty, how much subsidy is given? The same amount of taxation we would do in the country. So that would compensate, which these Chinese manufacturers will have to pay. Now this is done by an agency known as Directorate General of Trade Remedies, DGTR. This is an quasi-judicial body. It studies, it investigates, and then it gives its recommend. By the way, this is under Ministry of Commerce. It gives its recommendation to center, and center makes the decision. So they are not imposing any tax; they are just recommending it. Right. So that's it. They're just recommending it. Okay. So that's it. Now, yes, anti-subsidy duty, countervailing. Anti-subsidy duty, countervailing duty is the same thing. When now coming to dumping duty, when the price difference is very, very severe, what China is and India, less than 30%, then in that more than 30%, then in that case, the dumping duty comes into being. Mechanism remains the same.